Hey everyone. So, as you know, I just got Bob's new book, The Truth About the End of the Age and the Catching Away by Dr. Robert L. McKim Sr. Um, it's very short, it's like 32 pages, double space font. This is small font though, so. But there's lots of like clip art and shit jammed in here really haphazardly. Pretty funny coming from the guy who gives me shit for the visuals I use in my videos. Um, but yeah, let's start with the first couple chapters, and a lot of these chapters are just 1 or 2 pages long. So buckle your seatbelts, kiddies. My biography. My name is Robert L. McKim Sr. I am a 53-year-old man. I graduated from Newcomerstown High School in 1983. I am a graduate and student of spiritual, religion, revelation, prophecy, philosophy, psychology, and social work. I have a diploma in psychology/social work from Stratford Career Institute, and I graduated from Belmont Technical College in 2010 with an associate's degree in science and mental health. I am an ordained minister with a earned master's degree in religion and 2 doctoral degrees, an honorary Doctor of Divinity degree, and a earned Doctor in Philosophy and Religion degree, both from the Universal Life Church. I have training in theophosic prayer ministry and pastoral counseling/soul clinic. I am a disabled person with spina bifida occulta, spondylolisthesis grade 2, lumbar radiculitis, peripheral and diabetic neuropathy, and osteoarthritis, just to name a few. I am not working because it is hard to find a job that suits me and my many health problems. I am living on supplemental security disability income benefits of $750 once a month. I go to church, get groceries, go to club meetings that I belong to, and work around the house when I can. I have worked as a newspaper carrier. I sold the Grit, Blair products, worked with a night cleaning business, security officer, homemaker/home health aide, EMT trainee, sub school bus driver, and a job coach. I have volunteered for the former Tuscarawas County React Inc. from 1984 until it disbanded in 1987. I am currently a volunteer storm spotter for Skywarn, a Vic president of the Carroll Amateur Radio Society because I am a amateur radio operator. I volunteered for the American Red Cross. No, you didn't. I also volunteered for the Tuscarawas and Carroll County NAMI. I have my own ministry called the McKim Beacon Light Ministry and Soul Clinic, and an organization, CAER Security Radio Patrol. Near-death experience and dreams and visions, my near-death experiences. As a believer and an ordained minister/evangelist with a master's degree in religion and 2 doctorate degrees, an honorary Doctor of Divinity degree, and a Doctor of Philosophy and Religion degree, both from the Universal Life Church, a degree in Applied Science and Mental Health from Belmont Technical College, a diploma in Psychology/Social Work from Stratford Career Institute, and a diploma in Security/Investigations from the former Mansfield Business College, and many other work-related training in home health aide and school bus driving. My belief in God and Jesus was strengthened when I had my near-death experiences back in 1998. I went to bed in my son's bunk bed that was not elevated for my GERD. I had a snack when I got home at 10 p.m. from driving a school bus trip. My sons were in bed with their mom, and every time I tried to move them, they would wake up, so my ex-wife let them sleep with her and sleep in their bed. After I went to sleep, I found myself in another place. It was dark behind me, and on each side of me. There was this bright light in front of me. I felt as though I was standing in line with other people, but I couldn't see them. Then this man, with shoulder-length hair and a trim beard, came around in front of the person in front of me and stood on my left side and wrapped their right arm around me and said in a loving and serene voice, "It's not your time. Go back. You are a chosen one." I woke up coughing from the food I ate coming up and going down into my lungs. I know this was Jesus. My dreams and visions I have been having. I have been having many dreams that have been waking me up. In the 2nd year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams. His mind was troubled, and he could not sleep. Daniel 2:1. Some are not so much troubling as others. I had a dream just tonight on September 2nd, 2012. It was a dream about the verse about dogs going back after their own vomit. Of them the proverbs are true. A dog returns to its vomit, and a sow that is washed returns to her wallowing in the mud. 2 Peter 2:22. I had a dream in June of 2012 that I was watching TV, and all of a sudden there was an emergency alert coming over the TV saying to stand by. Then it said to turn to your local news station. I turned the TV to the news, and they were saying that Syria, Egypt, and Iraq were sending missiles to Israel to destroy, and that the United States was sending ships, planes, missiles, and troops, like an acting troupe, to defend Israel. Just a side note here, he puts in bold font all the names of the countries for some reason. I then woke up and went back to sleep. I have been hearing of missiles and tanks bombing Israel already that the local news is not reporting. In another dream, I was told that Christians are becoming more like dogs, and they are returning back to their own vomit because they refuse to change and believe the truth. Many Christians and churches, it's a church apostrophe S, like the fried chicken place, fight against abortion, but it is that law of the land. What? It is that law of the land. I read that right. They also been fighting same-sex marriages, but again, in some states, it is the law. There are many laws that we don't know about or do know about that we are breaking just because we think they are wrong against God's will and holy law. Many Christians have gardens, but don't know there is a law that you have to have it restored with the government if you sell anything from your garden to make money. Take, for instance, the marriage law in general. If believers knew why the marriage law was made in the first place, then many true believers in Jesus would not have been married with a license in the first place. But like sheep led to the slaughter, we boldly go. The marriage law was made for one reason and one reason only, to take away the rights of the father to give his permission for his daughter to marry a man of another race. This law has extended into all marriages because the government wants total control of our lives and beliefs. Historically, all states in America had laws outlawing marriage of blacks and whites. In the mid-1800s, after the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865, certain states began allowing interracial marriages or miscegenation as long as those marrying received a license from the state. Black's Law Dictionary points to this historical fact when it defines marriage license as a license or permission granted by authority to persons who intend to intermarry. Intermarry is defined as miscegenation, mixed or interracial marriages. When you marry with a marriage license, you grant the state jurisdiction over your marriage. How can one argue with the truth? Many Christians believe that all people, even those who are not intermarrying, should have a marriage license. This is all led by false preachers and false doctrine. If two believers, a man and a woman, who are of the same race, marries another believer, I'm just rereading that. It seems kind of like a polygamy he is mentioning here. If two believers, a man and a woman, who are of the same race, marries another believer, okay, then you are evenly yoked and don't need to have a marriage license. This is the true will of God. All you have to do is be married in the sight of Him and witnesses. I had another dream the night of September 16th, 2012. In my dream, I was walking through an old warehouse where there was no work being done there anymore. I was walking through the building with a friend, and I came across some diagrams to the building and how build or to work on something. While we were in the building, there were other people who were building barricades so the people in the building who are hiding can feel safe. After going back to where all the other people were and looking around, someone shouted that they had found us, and a small army of men with black riot gear came breaking through the barricades. Let me just note here that Bob spells breaking like, how a car uses its brakes, like that. The friend that was with me asked if I can remember what room I had saw the diagrams, and we started to run looking for them. I went to go into a room where I thought they were and opened the door, and there were people in there, wrong there, hiding. They've said to shut the door so the authorizes can't find the Christians who are hiding there. And here's a bit from the Bible. Dreams and visions from the Spirit of God in the last days. Joel 2:28, New King James Version. God's Spirit poured out. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my Spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions. Acts 2:17, New King James Version. And it shall come to pass in the last days, says God, that I will pour out my Spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your young men shall see visions. Your old men shall see dreams. Are we living in the last days? I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. Revelation 6:2. Look closer at the first rider. I don't really know what he was referring to because the picture he has here is of like a rainbow with angels coming out of it, so there's no horses. Yeah. Many say that Jesus is the rider on the first white horse that is coming back to take us to be with him before the other three riders come. This is wrong. Why I believe this is because when Jesus comes to take the saints to be with him, we'll be in the clouds, and everyone will see him and see what is happening. He is not coming back the first time, not to conquer, but to take us out of the first half of the tribulation. The first rider is the spirit of the Antichrist, because is given a bow and no arrows. He is given the power like Christ, but he is not the true Christ. He is the Antichrist. I believe that he has been riding since, like I can sense something, right after the ascension of Jesus, and has sped up his riding in mid to late 1980s, when preachers and TV evangelists have been preaching that you need to work and make more money to please God. You cannot please God through your money. God wants us to love and help one another, not love another by saying that God helps those who helps themselves. This is the spirit of the Antichrist that has been saying this. And now we come to the page with the picture of the horsemen. Good job formatting your book, Bob. Then another horse came out, a fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make people kill each other. To him was given a large sword. Revelation 6:4. When the Lamb opened the first seal, I heard the living creature say, "Come!" I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the four living creatures saying, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine. Revelation 6:5-6. I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. He was given power over a fourth of the earth to kill by sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth. Revelation 6:8. When he opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain because of the word of God and the testimony they had maintained. Revelation 6:9. They called out in a loud voice, "How long, sovereign Lord, holy and true, until you judge the inhabitants of the earth and avenge our blood?" Revelation 6:10. Then each of them was given a white robe, and they were told to wait a little longer, until the full number of their fellow servants, their brothers and sisters, were killed just as they had been. Revelation 6:11. I watched as he opened the sixth seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair. The whole moon turned blood red, and the stars in the sky fell to the earth, as figs drop from a fig tree when shaken by a strong wind. The heavens receded like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was removed from its place. Revelation 6:12-14. Then the kings of the earth, the princes, the generals, the rich, the mighty, and everyone else, both slave and free, hid in caves and among the rocks of the mountains. They called to the rocks in the mountains, "Fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can withstand it?" Revelation 6:15-17. Learn to format these a little bit better, Bob. These are a slog to get through. Jesus said in both Matthew 24 and again in Luke 21 that there will be signs around the days near the end of the age, and they are to be signs to whom all are not in darkness and will know how to read them. There are many who will perish like a Catholic parish, because they don't believe that there is a God. Some believe in another form of God, that they are so far removed from the truth that there is no hope that they will be saved, because they are so blinded by their own disbelief and believe in a false God that they won't see him coming till it is too late. The fiery red horse and its rider, I believe, is the spirit of war and rumor. I'm putting a picture of this. Rumors of war that have been riding for almost 100 years. Granted, there have been wars and fighting over 2,000 years, and even before the time of Jesus on Earth, wars have gotten worse with bombs and atomic bomb. World War I was to be the war to end all wars. Then came World War II. After this came the Korean War, then the Vietnam War. We have also had in 1990 the Desert Storm. In 2001, the U.S. went into Iraq for the Persian Gulf War. The rider of the black horse is the rider of economic troubles that started in 2001 with Enron and the collapse of the World Trade Center towers in New York City. Some say that this rider is when there will be a famine of wheat due to global warming. But that can't be if the rider on the pale horse is the rider of famine and plagues by the wild beasts of the earth. We are living in both the economic troubles and the famine of food that has been getting contaminated, and with the high heat in the corn and wheat belt of America, and with the bird flu and swine flu killing the weaker people on earth. The word rapture does not appear in the Bible. It comes from a Latin word rapare, which means to seize, snatch, or take away. The term rapture is used to refer to the faithful believers being taken up to meet Christ in the air, as described in the passage writer by the Apostle Paul, Jesus. But we do not want you to be uninformed, brothers and sisters, about those who have died, so that you may not grieve as others do, who have no hope. For since we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so, through Jesus, God will bring with him those who have died. For this we declare to you by the word of the Lord, that we who are alive and who are left until the coming of the Lord will by no means precede those who have died. For the Lord himself, with a cry of command, with the archangel's call, and with the sound of God's trumpet, will descend from heaven, and the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive, who are left, will be caught up in the clouds together with them to meet the Lord in the air, and so we will be with the Lord forever. NRSV 1 Thessalonians 4:13 through 17. Apparently, doubts had risen among the Thessalonians Christians regarding the fate of those Christians who had died before Christ's return. Would they miss out on the glorious events of Christ's second coming and the resurrection? Paul assured them in this way that God would save those who had already died, as well as those still living. A theory of Bible interpretation known as dispensationalism was developed in the 1700s and 1800s, primarily by theologians Pierre Poiret, 1964 to 1791, John Edwards, 1637 to 1716, Isaac Watts, 1674 to 1748, and John Nelson Darby, 1800 to 1882. Dispensationalism favors a very literal interpretation of Bible prophecies and gives unique interpretations and special significance to end-time events. These theories were popularized in the Schofield Reference Bible, first published in 1909. In dispensational theology, and this is clearly copy-pasted from something. In dispensational theology, the rapture will be the centerpiece of Jesus' second coming, a glorious, dramatic event with Jesus coming to literally take believers up into the sky. There are several theories about the timing of the rapture. Pre-tribulational rapture, when John ascends to heaven, Revelation 4:1-2. In this theory, Christians will be taken up before the Great Tribulation, Daniel 9:24-27, Revelation 7:14, and will be spared its suffering. Mid-tribulation rapture, when the two prophets ascend to heaven, Revelation 11:11-12. Post-tribulational rapture, at the end of the 7 bowls, Revelation 16:17-21.